Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We have been dealing with the unfoldment of the Prakriti to the point that we have today. Manifest in 5 forms, namely Prithvi, Ap, Tej, Vayu, Akash, which is quintiplicated matter in metaphysics. So the point is the creation that as it is actualized today. Physics will tell us about the elements, the substances in any object that we sight, we experience, we feel, we understand, we comprehend, we cognise. So we know the science of physics and chemistry, which will tell us about the essence of the object. That is why we say something is made up of earth, something is made up of stone, something is metallic, something is of water. So there is always a physics and chemistry behind what we see. And the modern science of physics and chemistry will tell us about the essence of matter that is in front of us. It could be a piece of furniture or food, it could be a metallic furniture. Then there are things such as fruits and flowers. So we have the objects which are visual objects, auditory objects, olfactory objects, tactile objects, gustatory objects. So this is how physics tells us about the objects. That something is a visual object, something is auditory object, something is olfactory object, something is gustatory object, and something is tactile object. And then object is constituted by matter. And then we say this is solid matter, this is gaseous matter, or this is liquid matter. Then we are told about the elements which are there. So the chemistry speaks about the elements. Even the physics speaks about elements. What are called as basic element in parlance of modern science. So there are few basic elements, basic substances called Dravya. And the whole visible creation comes out of it for us in various forms. Basically 3 forms: solid matter, gaseous matter, and liquid matter. So the physics and chemistry tells us about the fact about what we perceive and cognize and sense and feel and touch and see and consume, etc., etc. So in physics and chemistry we go to the elements of object at sight and all objects at sight. Then the science also tells us about, goes to more causal aspects and says that there is something atom molecules, nucleus, and then particles. So ultimately, the physics goes to tell us that everything is structured, constituted by subatomic particles. Diversified universe is ultimately reduced in particle physics to subatomic particles called proton, neutron, electrons. And then, therefore, it is quite amusing there. The matter seems to be diametrically opposite in nature. But then ultimately, we are told that it is proton, neutron, electron. So there are certain amusing things such as diamond is carbon, coal is carbon. But if you keep material of coal and material of diamond side by side, then the distinction is too stark to believe that both are C, both are carbon. Because we know the value of diamond and value of coal in our business activity of life. The coal is nowhere comparable as far as the cost is concerned to diamond. Diamond costs in millions and the coal is just a paltry bit insofar as the fiscal value is concerned. But then the science says the both are carbon. The carbon itself manifests as diamond, which shines bright, and the carbon itself manifests in the form of coal, which is black. So that's an amusement for neophytes in modern science. Then, taking a next step in science, we are told that everything is proton, neutron, electron. So again, the amusement here is that fire fights water or water fights fire. So we know the water as firefighter. And the fire and water are two diametrically opposite for us. You know what the fire does and how the fire appears. And we know what the water does and how the water appears. So the water will be doing the firefighting. So we think that they are in counter position. Water and fire in counter position. Oil and water as in counter position. Solid matter and liquid matter in counter position. Solid matter and gaseous matter in counter position. Gaseous matter and liquid matter in counter position. So point is, fire fights fire. Water fights fire. But then the very scientists tell us the water is ultimately what? Proton, neutron, electron. Fire is ultimately what? Proton, neutron, electron. So in the realm of physics, ultimately the water is proton, neutron, electron, and in the eyes of physics and in the theory of physics, fire too is proton, neutron, electron. What is fighting what? Proton, neutron, electron are fighting proton, neutron, electron. Proton, neutron, electron are extinguishing proton, neutron, electron, and what remains is again proton, neutron, electron. So that's a bit amusing. So that's the amusement which I just now said about. So the modern science in the material aspects comes to something causal called proton, neutron, electron. And that is where the physics commences from there onwards. And then it goes on explaining the diversified material manifestation, and whereby we are told that this is fire and this is water and this is air. This is space and this is air and this is fire and this is water and this is earth, etc., etc. So if we say that these are five elements, the five elements which are quintiplicated, as you heard in the last session, they will be ultimately proton, neutron, electron, be that Prithvi or Up or Tej or Vayu or Akash, Panchikrita, quintiplicated, will be proton, neutron, electron from the view of particle physics, nuclear physics. But then the metaphysics now tells us that it is all manifestation from Vishesha Parva. So that's the first postulation. Once we go beyond the physics and chemistry, beyond the physical science, we come to this postulation that it is Vishesha Parva, particularized phase. And as we saw last time, from this particularized phase we get actualized phase, which is the phenomenal world, the phenomenal universe. The phenomenal universe has always something coming as a cause. So phenomenal universe is the effect, and then there is a cause behind that. And the final cause in the realm of material sciences or physics is that it is proton, neutron, electron. Coincidentally, there are again three particles. Subatomic particles are three. One is positively charged, the other one is negatively charged, and the third one is neutral. So we know the nucleus. The electron and neutron orbiting around proton at the velocity of light. And then, so we come to the first cause, which is, according to particle physics and physics, it is, or nuclear physics, it is particles. Metaphysics goes beyond that. And then it says, that is effect. What nuclear physics is postulating as a primary cause itself is the effect. And that is effect of Vishesha Parva. So Sattva, Raja, Tama gunas are coming to a phase called particularized phase. And the cause of that too is Avishesha Parva. And cause of Avishesha Parva is Linga Matra, and cause of Linga Matra is Alinga. So that's how we saw in the last session, actualized phenomenal phase is one. That is what we grasp through our senses, through our mind, through our intelligence. Indriya Grahya, certain things are Indriya Grahya, that is graspable by senses, but then certain things are subtler, which are graspable by the mind, not by senses. And then there is further subtler aspects which cannot be even grasped by mind, but the grasped by intelligence, buddhi tattva rather, precisely. So buddhi grahya, indriya grahya, manograhya and indriya grahya. All this is in the realm of physics. But something going beyond the buddhi grahyata is metaphysics. So Patanjali is commencing to mention from that point, particularized phase, Vishesha Parva, which has a causal body called Avishesha Parva, that has a causal body called Linga Parva, Linga Matra Parva, that has a causal body called Alinga Parva. So that's the realm of metaphysics that the sutra has mentioned. So the entire creation, which is Laukika, Paralaukika, and which is said to be having Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, 14 planes in Oriental thought process, Oriental wisdom, wisdom of the lore. They are said to be Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, 14 planes. The Bhuhu is the plane on which we are. Little above us, little transcendent to us, our plane is Bhuvaha, then Suvaha, then Mahaha, then Janaha, then Tapaha, and then Satya. So Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satya. These are the planes progressively becoming transcendent, one over the other. And then the 7 are infernal planes called Atala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Patala. So, mythology and metaphysics of Oriental thought process speaks about Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, 14 planes, from Patala Loka to Satya Loka. There are 14 tiers. These are 14 tiers and they are Chaturdasha Bhuvanas and they are all Gunamaya. They are all Gunatmaka. Absolutely subsumed and constituted by the Gunas, namely Sattva, Raja, Tama. So, the Bhautika, Abhautika, Parabhautika is also the tiers that we can understand. Bhautika means that we see as manifest. Then there is infra-atomic structure behind the phenomenal manifestation. So that is Parabhautika. And there is something Abhautika. Abhautika means mind and intelligence, etc. That is Abhautika. The mind is not Bhautika. Buddhi is not Bhautika. That is Abhautika. So Bhautika, Abhautika, Parabhautika means Tanmatra, which we'll be considering when we come to Avishesha Parva. We will try to understand what is this Tanmatra. At this point in time, I can say it is infra-atomic structure of elements. Infra-atomic structure of elements. And then, of course, there is Indriyatmaka Srushti. Indriyatmaka Srushti is signature condition of living creation, animate creation. And that too is totally Gunatmaka. And that is why we are used to this kind of statement in philosophy, the Chara Charatmaka Srushti, Chara Achara Srushti. The whole Chara Charatmaka Srushti is subsumed and permeated by Gunas, which are Sattva, Raja, Tama. This is the Darshanika Paksha. This is the view of the Darshanikas, the philosophers who are trying to divulge the realities. So the philosophers are now telling us in this Sutra 2.19 that they are phases, tiers, Vishesha, Avishesha, Linga Matra, Alinga. That's why Patanjali emphatically says Guna Parvani at the end of the Sutra. They are all Guna Parvas, they are all phases of Gunas. So as I told you in the last session that this is the Srushti Krama, this is the Laya Krama. That means the Vishesha will merge into Avishesha, Avishesha will merge into Linga Matra, Linga Matra will merge into Alinga, and Alinga is primordial, primeval matter, tribal matter. So this is the Laya Krama. While we are thinking of creation, the cosmology, we are told about Laya Krama. Because the creation has come from creator and the source matter. The source matter has evolved into various phases for the creation to arrive at the point and at a stage that we have it around us today. So the sutra is mentioning Laya Krama, while the Srushti Krama or Prasuti Krama is opposite of it, opposite of what is mentioned in the sutra. So from Alinga comes the Linga Matra, from Linga Matra comes the Avishesha, from Avishesha comes the Vishesha, and then from Vishesha comes the Panchikruta, quintiplicated, and from quintiplicated comes the matter as we classify as solid and gaseous and liquid matter. So that is what the sutra is telling us about, which is the Laya Krama. And if you come from behind, from the end of the sutra, if you come in opposite order of the sutra, you will get the Srushti Krama. So the cosmological unfoldment has taken place in the reverse order that is mentioned in the sutra. So Alinga to Linga Matra to Avishesha to Vishesha. This is how the creation has taken place. And it is all Gunatmaka. This should not be lost sight of. It is all Gunatmaka. And it is evolving in logical stages. And it's a logical stage to understand Alinga to Linga Matra to Avishesha, Avishesha to Vishesha. And that is why in the ecology it is said the nature is cosmos but not chaos. And universe is universe but not multiverse. So all the universe has expanded to this unlimited extent, immeasurable extent, infinite extent, yet it is called universe and not called multiverse. The point is, the whole Charachara Srushti, living, non-living creation, gross and subtle creation, visible and invisible creation, the creation and infra and supra creation is all Gunatmaka. And the parental body is Moola Prakriti. That is why that very significant term in Sankhya philosophy, Moola Prakriti. Moola means root, base. And that is said to be Avyakta. This phase of Prakriti is also described as Avyakta Tattva. So it is called Moola Prakriti. It is called Pradhana Tattva. Pradhana means the most primary and most important. That is literal meaning. But etymologically there is a different meaning which we will be seeing later. Pradhana Tattvam. Also Avyakta Tattvam. So these are all the terminologies given to Moola Prakriti, which we have referred to here as Alinga in Patanjali's treatise. Now, as I said, the whole creation of the nature of living, non-living, gross and subtle, physical and metaphysical, metaphysical and infraphysical and supraphysical and metaphysical has all come from Moola Prakriti, and which is also called Prakriti, which is also called Pradhana. And that's why I recall the verse from Bhagavad Gita 9.10, where we are told, Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Sujate Sacharacharam. So this is the theistic Sankhya. Bhagavan says, under my presidency, Maya Dhakshena, I am the Adhyaksha, I am the presiding force. Under my presidency, Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Suyate. The Prakriti generates what? Sacharacharam, all this charachara srishti. So Maya Dhakshena Prakritihi Suyate Sacharacharam. Or elsewhere, the same Bhagwan declares, Mamayoni Mahad Brahma Tasmin Garbham Dadhamyaham. Mamayoni Mahad Brahma. This Moola Prakriti is my womb, and I germinate into it the whole creation. So, that is how the celestial song of Bhagavad Gita tells us. The point is, the Guna Vyaparas has Srushti and Pralaya, and both have an order. Both take place in a proper order. Just as something like salt can dissolve into water, the Vishesha can dissolve into Avishesha, Avishesha can dissolve into Linga Matra can dissolve into Alinga when it comes to dissolution. And when it is going to be creative phase, creation phase, they will all emerge from Alinga. The Linga Matra will emerge. From Linga Matra, the Avishesha will emerge. From Avishesha, the Vishesha will emerge. And from Vishesha, the quintiplicated matter will emerge. And from quintiplicated matter, we get the entire phenomenal creation, which could be subtle or gross, visible or invisible. So there is Niyama Baddhata. That's why it is called cosmology, the cosmos. There is Niyama Baddhata, there is Krama Baddhata. There is no erratic pattern. Like in science, we are told about the sequential process of something coming out. The cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect chain. So there is that krama. Krama means sequential order. So that is what the cosmology postulates. So as I told you, the sutra is taking recourse to Gnaptic Krama or Jnana Krama. Our knowledge will always be of the nature of, first we see what is visible, then we see the cause of it, which is perhaps a microscopic matter. And then we go to uh, inframatter and supramatter and primal matter or primeval matter. So this is the Jnana Krama or Gnaptik Krama. So Patanjali has taken recourse to Gnaptik Krama. If you don't want to understand this as Laya Krama, because when the creation is being spoken of, there is no point in saying how the universe is dissolved. Because I told you that the sutra is taking recourse to sequential order of dissolution, but precisely now I will tell you it is called Gnaptik Krama, Jnana Krama. Our Jnana will come like this. The first thing we will know as the things are as they appear, then we will know as the things are, then we will know the things as they are substantially, and then we will know the things as they are essentially. So this is also called Gnaptik Krama that you get in the sutra, Vishesha, Avishesha, Lingamatra, Alingani, Gunaparvani. So it goes from Sthula Grahya to Sukshma Grahya, then Susukshma Grahya and Parama Sukshma Grahya. And that is how the knowledge process takes place. We first know the gross and then come to know something more subtler, and then we try to come to know something more and more subtler, and then more and more and more subtler, and more and more and more and more and more subtler. That is how our knowledge process is. So now at this point in time we should understand Patanjali is mentioning Gnaptik Krama, Jnana Krama, or the sequential order of our knowledge. So in the metaphysics, first we will get knowledge about Vishesha Parva. That will be the first step. That we will first know the Vishesha Parva. Then in the second stage we will know Avishesha Parva. In the third stage we will know the Lingamatra Parva. In the fourth stage we will be knowing the Alinga Parva. So this is called Gnaptik Krama. From Sthula Karya, from the Sthula effect, from gross effect, we slowly go towards Sukshma, then Sukshmatara and Sukshmatama. So from gross, in knowledge process, we go towards subtler. We go to the subtle, then we go to the subtler, and then we go to the subtlest. That is how we have the Gnaptik Krama, or process of knowing and process of knowledge. Therefore, we have to understand the Srushti Krama is bang opposite of it. The creation is not the first gross was created and then the subtle was created. It is absurd. The gross created and then subtle created and more subtle created and more subtle created. That is absurd. So that's not the case. So now here we understand why Patanjali has taken recourse, that when he is going to divulge cosmology, why has he taken recourse to Gnaptik Krama and not, as it is expected, that we should be told from where it is coming. So that will be subtlest cause, then less subtle, less and less subtle, lesser and lesser subtle, least subtle, then gross, and then grosser and grossest. This is how the manifestation has taken place. But as I said, Patanjali has taken a unique stand here. Unlike cosmologies that you get elsewhere, Patanjali has not taken recourse to that. He has taken the opposite direction to what usually in cosmology is taken, that like first Big Bang, then came space, then came cloud-like nebula, etc. Then came stars and planets, etc. So how creation has taken place is described by cosmology. But that is not the process that we will be knowing. Our knowledge will always start from grossest, and then the grosser, and then the gross, and then the not gross, and then the subtle, and then the subtler, and then the subtlest. So, because this is Upadesha Shastra, Patanjali has very justifiably taken the stand that he has taken. So in Upadesha Shastra, first you should be told the things as they appear, and then you should be told about how the things are, and then how from where that has come, those have come. So what is this appearancely? And then with little insight you will know what is this essentially, and then you will know from where has it come. So that is the cause of it, and then we'll go towards the cause of the cause, then cause of the cause of the cause, and then cause of the cause of the cause of the cause, and then cause of the cause of the cause of the cause of the cause. As long as our physics can take us, we will be going that way. So, the creation as such will be taking place from Alinga Parva, Avyakta Parva, that is called Gunasamyavastha. The gunas in equilibrium, Sattva Rajatama gunas in equilibrium, according to metaphysics, 33.33%. So that is the Gunasamyavastha, equilibrium of gunas. When the gunas are in equal state, nothing manifests. Not only that nothing is manifesting, but everything is nominal, not even phenomenal. It is only little imbalance in gunas that something starts getting triggered, ultimately becoming manifest. So, the creation has taken place from Avyakta Tattva, Alinga Parva, as the metaphysicists declare, and that is Gunasamyavastha, equilibrium of gunas. And then slowly it gets triggered, and therefore we get the Alinga Parva, Linga Parva, Avishesha Parva and Vishesha Parva. So the first phase of creation is Alinga Parva, that is marklessness, no characteristics, nominal, nothing phenomenal, absolutely nominal. Because there is no mark, no characteristic, no attribute, it is said to be alinga, markless. And therefore it doesn't become object of knowledge. Object of knowledge needs something that is characteristic of something. The characteristics of a thing gives us some knowledge. No characteristic to something is not an object of knowledge. So, that's how the Alinga Parva is, that therefore it is not an object of knowledge. It will never become object of knowledge because it doesn't have any mark, any attribute, any characteristic. And that is why it is said to be as if nothingness, precisely. It is precisely described as if nothingness. And that is why one of the Upanishads has said, Asadva idam agramasit, Taitriya Upanishad, Taitriya Aranyakam, Maitrayani Upanishad. They declare Asadva idam agramasit, at the agra, at the very commencement, or the commencement is from Asad. Asad means non-existent, precisely as if non-existent. Because from non-existent, no existent thing can come up. That is the Satkaryavada. Something should be existing, then only from that something will come out, which will be existential. But when it is said to be Asad, means as if Asad, as if nothing, as if nothingness. From as if nothingness, somethingness comes up. From that somethingness, something more particular comes up. And from that something particular, something more phenomenal will come up. And phenomenal will give rise to something that is real for our perception, real for our cognition, real for our knowledge. Then comes the Linga Parva, which has only mark. So from Avyakta Prakriti, according to Sankhya, which is the first leg of creation, it is Linga Matra. So it is some effect of that cause, which is nominal. And for you to understand the Linga Matra, just mark. The best example at a very, very primary level will be, you can't see the air, you can't see the wind, you can't see the breeze, but you can see the sign of breeze. You can see the sign of wind, because you will see that the dry leaves are flowing, the dust is erupted, the dust is raised up, and dust is erupted, and dust is made to flow. So we cannot see the wind, but we can see the dust flowing. We do not see the wind, but we can see the dry leaves flowing. So that is mark of wind and breeze. Dry leaves flowing and dust getting erupted and flowing is the mark of the breeze, which is invisible. So we deduce the breeze by looking at the dry leaves flowing, floating and moving. So the dust erupted from the ground and then flowing. And therefore it is only mark, merely mark, Linga Matra is the second leg of creation. Then the Avishesha Parva, from the Mahat Tattva, the Buddhi Tattva, which is Indriya Agrahya. It is Sukshma, it is causal, it is Karana Rupa. That is called Avisheshatmaka. So again it is Gunatmaka, but Avisheshatmaka. So that in modern science is said to be structure of nucleus. The rise of physics is coming now here. The proton, neutron, electron. So it is a matter of inference. You will infer that what is at the nucleus of an atom. So Avishesha Parva in Sankhya philosophy and metaphysics is called to be Tanmatra Tattva. The Tanmatra Tattva and Ahankara Tattvam of Sankhya are of Avishesha Parva. And then from Avishesha Parva, which is infraatomic structure of elements, you get the elemental structure of Prithvi, Aptej, Vayu, Akash. And that is Vishesha Parva. So from Avishesha comes the Vishesha. From infraatomic comes the metaphysical elemental matter. And that is why it is said to be Vishesha Parva, particularized, specialized, differentiated. Because you can distinguish between the Prithvi, Aptej, Vayu, Akash, the five having characteristic signature conditions, mutually contrary, mutually opposing, mutually different. And that is why it is said to be particularized leg of creation. So that's the fourth and final leg of creation, which is called Vishesha Parva. So this is how is the Srushti Krama. Alinga to linga matra to avishesha, avishesha to vishesha. This is the Srushti Krama. But again, as I say, the Gnapti Krama is opposite of it. So Patanjali has also implied the deliverance of universe, the cosmology, the cosmogony of Patanjali is linga matra coming from alinga. So alinga the first leg, linga matra the second leg, avishesha the third leg, and vishesha the fourth leg. And from that you get bhutendriyatmaka srushti, charachara srushti. So linga matra is also to be understood as mahat tattva of the Sankhya. Alinga as Mula Prakriti or Pradhana. Linga Matra as Mahat Tattva of Sankhya. And then you get Avishesha Parva, which are 6. Shabda Tanmatra, Sparsha Tanmatra, Rupa Tanmatra, Rasa Tanmatra, Gandha Tanmatra, and Asmita. So there are 6 categories of Avishesha Parva. And then there are 16 categories of Vishesha Parva. The 16, namely, the 5 elements and Ekadasha Indriyas. So 5 plus 11, 16. This is the category of Vishesha. So 16 of the Vishesha, 6 of Avishesha, 1 Mahat of the Linga Matra, and the Alinga 1. So 16 plus 6 plus 1 plus 1 becomes 24 principles of Sankhya. So that's how the Sankhya has come up in the Sankhya Shastra, and the Sankhya is 24. And this is how the 24 are categorized. In the order of the Sutra, 16 plus 6 plus 1 plus 1. And as far as the creation is concerned, 1 plus 1 plus 6 plus 16. So this sums up to 24. So that's how the Parvas are explained by Patanjali. And since the Vishesha Parva comes first in the Sutra, Vyasa commentary commences with describing Vishesha Parva. So there he commences, Tatra Akasha Vayu Agni Udaka Bhumayo Bhutani Shabda Sparsha Rupa Rasa Gandha Tanmatranam Avisheshanam Vishesha Parinamaha. So the Vishesha Parinama is from Avishesha Parinama. Avishesha is the Tanmatra, and from Tanmatra come the 5 elements, namely Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Udaka, Bhumi, Bhutani. So now we are going to consider the Vyasa's commentary starting from Vishesha Parva. But we will take that up in our next session. Enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.